And I tell every new agent, every old agent, anyone, AutoFlow is, you are crazy if you aren't doing it. I love going to my mailbox on a Tuesday afternoon and I see this nice brochure newsletter and I hadn't seen it or thought about it, but it just continues to go out.
Yes. Hi everybody, welcome back to another Workout Wednesday. Thank you for joining us for the first week of May. With this video, we have a very special guest out of our Ponte Vedra office, Tina Webster.
Hello, Noah.
Welcome.
Thank you.
I'm super glad to have you come on, especially whenever you agreed to come on, because you are coming off of a very great year in real estate, Chairman's Diamond.
Thank you very much.
For those of you outside of our organization, that is our highest distinction that we can give to Berkshire Hathaway Home Services agents. Top 1%, correct, of all 50,000 agents that we have is an amazing distinction. We're very glad that you had such a great year. But,
well, thank you.
Before we get started in today's topic about AutoFlow and a little bit into the luxury market, we have worked together in the past, but for anybody that's watching that doesn't know about you, just share a little about yourself, how you got started in luxury and how you maybe even real estate in general.
Okay. I'd lived here for about 10 years before I got into real estate.
Okay.
I always knew I wanted to be a real estate agent. I would walk around the mountain where I grew up and go to open houses. And in the back of my mind, I knew I came from the recruiting industry, but got out of that and got into real estate. So the good thing about when I got into it is I did have a good network of people when I got into it. I didn't just move here and try to start cold. So that helped me get into the luxury market. I was very fortunate. I had, my next door neighbor was a CEO of a company, and the first sale I had was one of his executives moving into town.
Very nice.
They, to this day, don't know I was their first sale, thank God. But so that helped. I was in with his company. He referred a lot of business my way, which helped get into the luxury. And I also had another good friend who was a CEO, and he would give me some great leads of executives moving into town. So that's kind of where I started getting into the luxury world out there.
I love that. Whenever you're dealing with higher net worth clients, what is the main difference you notice in dealing with those individuals compared to like a more traditional transaction in real estate?
Well, I like to think I treat every transaction equally.
Yes.
But I will say that these higher end clients, they demand typically a little more attention. They, they expect me to have tons of knowledge of the real estate market, which I should, and know of anything that's coming, to really be on top of the Ponte Vedra real estate market and the Jacksonville real estate market. Another thing about working with these high net worth clients is some of them have, closed companies worth billions of dollars, millions of dollars. And I learn a lot from them also. I'm kind of a sponge when I'm working with them because they're, typically very gifted, smart people that are making large transactions. And so you just really have to give them special attention and know your market and make sure you're answering your phone all the time.
Yeah. Do you find that they are more knowledgeable about the transaction process because they've been through a similar process?
Well, most of them are, they have been through real estate transactions because they're successful enough to be buying these luxury listings. It's not like the first-time home buyer, which I love also, because they just look at me like I'm, they want to soak everything up that I know.
Absolutely.
And, in the luxury market, you're still, educating them on the real estate transaction. But they do come typically with a lot of knowledge of the real estate and transactions.
You mentioned a lot of your referral network whenever you were starting out. One of our big things for referrals and maintaining a sphere is AutoFlow. Can you tell us a little bit about how you first found out about this program and how it may have benefited your business?
When I first found out about it, it was, I guess, I don't know, we had AutoFlow maybe 7 years is what I'm going to guess, and I could be way off. The broker at the time of the Ponte Vedra office was the one that kind of helped bring it here because he had used it in another market. And I loved it. I actually, before I was in the recruiting world, I was in the advertising world.
Yes.
And sold coupons actually that went in people's mailboxes. That's my first sales job. So I got I understood, the whole mailers and all that. And I got excited about it. And I love anything that I can sign up for but never think about again.
Yes.
And I tell every new agent, every old agent, anyone, AutoFlow you are crazy if you aren't doing it. I love going to my mailbox on a Tuesday afternoon and I see this nice brochure newsletter and I hadn't seen it or thought about it, but it just continues to go out.
Yes.
And I really think, I can't put a number on it, but I know I get business from it because everybody is seeing me once a month and they're going to redeem their coupons and they'll send me thank yous or, I can see when they redeem them. And I think if you're not doing it, you really are missing the boat. It's not expensive.
Yeah.
But you got to keep up with it. Quarterly, I think, probably should do it more. I get my AutoFlow list out and go through everyone, make sure they're still in that house if I hadn't checked in a while, and then add new people. So you got to keep up with your list and make sure you're really working it.
I know that one success story I've heard from AutoFlow recently was during Ninja. Stephen Andrade, one of our agents down in Palm Coast, he had signed up for it, and he had a client that had fallen out of touch with him, I think it was, and he received a newsletter from Stephen with his image on it, and he was just thinking about selling his house. And they started that transaction from him just getting reconnected to him. I'm sorry if I butchered that story, but that is an example of this stuff actually is working towards building your business and keeping people knowledgeable.
It really is. It just keeps you right in front of them, and when the time comes, and they remember to refer you to people because they see you in their mailbox all the time. They say, I don't know what the stat is, but I've heard it a million times. So many people, if you came up to them and asked them who sold in their home, they wouldn't remember the name. Yeah. So we're making sure they're going to remember our name.
Absolutely. Outside of AutoFlow, what are your preferred methods for staying in touch with past clients?
I'm more of, I do, some marketing, but I'm more of an organic. I take people to lunch. My husband and I will take clients / friends because most of the time they become your good friends. We'll go to dinners. I've hosted, one thing I did for my top clients is I got a big boat out of Ortega and took them out on this wonderful cruise it was a beautiful October afternoon. Got it catered, had a bar, and I had 30 really sharp people on that boat, and some of them knew each other, some of them didn't. They really enjoyed it. I think I got lots of referrals out of it. They're still calling me back. Things like that are important. On a smaller scale, I'm doing something in June where I'm going to rent out to an ice cream store. And I just tell the people, when people come in, put them on my tab. And I sit there for the 2 hours. And they children, grandparents, whoever can come in. I visit with them. They get a scoop of ice cream. Yeah. So that's a smaller scale. There's so many things you can do. But really, I just think it's, taking people to go do things. Yes. And I make phone calls. I definitely do that. Facebook, Instagram, I see that one of my top clients, his son plays college golf. My son played college golf. Yeah. So when I see him posting, he won a tournament or something, I'll pick up the phone and call him. The phone is important. These people want to hear your voice too. They just don't want to see you, in the mailbox every day.
Yes, absolutely. I love that. Shifting back to the luxury market, what has been the most rewarding aspect of building these relationships?
Well, I think the most rewarding thing is when they refer somebody to me.
Absolutely. Yes.
I love that because then I feel like I did a successful transaction and they want to give me to their parents, their friends, their children. So that's the most rewarding is when I get a good referral.
Absolutely. What is something that differentiates you from other people in the luxury market? Something that you offer that someone isn't going to get elsewhere?
I like to think I have fabulous marketing. Yep. If you hire me to list your home, I'm going to make sure that everybody out there sees great marketing, but I'm out there talking about it, putting it on social media. I have great knowledge of the market, and now I've got 18 years of real estate experience. So I feel like I bring all that, and I've got this wonderful company behind me that, if I need anything, they're going to help me. And I'm always learning. There's a lot of agents out there that don't ever have a sales meeting. I mean, we learn in our sales meetings every week. And so you're taking a risk not continuing your education every day in real estate.
I agree. Just a final question here. This is one I thought up of. Hopefully that's good. Typically, an agent can indicate lifestyle changes whenever someone might be looking to sell their house or buy a new house. This could be having a baby, getting married, getting divorced. Are those indicators different in the luxury market compared to just a traditional real estate agent or real estate transaction?
I really don't feel like they're that different because you can live in a $100,000 house or a $100 million house and go through these life changes. Divorce, kids leaving the nest, I think the biggest lifestyle changes I'm going through right now are families that are downsizing from their larger house in the Plantation Oaks neighborhood, and they're looking to downsize and go live in Jack's Beach or Neptune Beach, and that's kind of the biggest indicator I'm going through right now, besides the typical, moving up and all that.
Yeah, absolutely.